Well, as Nigeria's minister's screening procedure comes under scrutiny, we are now joined by Chibuzor Okereke, a legislative governance expert and policy analyst. Thank you so much, Chibuzor,
Thank you.
for being on the news. I think if the good place to start would be to ask you your reaction to this whole scandal about the minister's certificates. He has said he resigned because not because he's admitting guilt and that he's going to court. But what do you make of all of this?
Well, first, this is very disturbing. I'm a proud alumnus of the University of Nigeria, where I served with distinction as student union president for a university with that, the premier university with such a brand that is respected and the foremost manpower production center for the country and globally, and people who have distinguished themselves. It's quite unfortunate for those of us who are alumni members that our very great university, where we are taught to search for knowledge, teach and preserve it, and ultimately to restore the dignity of man. So we are very worried. And this is also very unfortunate. At the highest level of governance and government, we're experiencing this. The young minister or the man has served for 2 years before we could discover this, despite all the processes that we are supposed to diligently follow to ensure that anybody assuming that level of office, and they are prescribed. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Yes. These are clearly prescribed in the Constitution and the standing orders of the Senate, unfortunately. So
let's talk about those procedures. For our viewers that are watching tonight, explain to us, what's the process of becoming a minister in Nigeria?
So, first, the ministerial process we have been witnessing, I could say, has been a parley process and not a confirmatory process as required. Order 471 establishes the office of the minister and empowers the president to make the appointment. The 1472 requires, empowers Senate to confirm those appointments. Further, it also requires the president to make the appointment in line with section 14.3 of the Constitution, ensuring that every part of the country is represented. Ultimately, it also requires anybody to be appointed as minister to have the equivalent of certificate to contest for House of Representative election. And that simply means to have school cert for you to be a minister, which is actually what I think we should be talking about amending. Ministers are policy makers and technocrats. They are not elected people, and they can't have the same qualification with other people. Next to that is that in section 1476, Senate is mandated to make returns on all nominations within 21 days. However, the president has 90 days to make appointments, but the Senate has only 21 days to make confirmation, in which case, if they don't make returns, the person stand automatically confirmed, which is quite unfortunate and should be amended. But let's even go to the prescriptions in the standing order. As empowered by section 60 of the Constitution, the Senate has made standing order and saying, this is the process we will follow to do confirmation. Order 117, A and B. A is for appointment that has portfolios, maybe DG of agencies or what have you. And then B of 117 is dealing with appointment without portfolios, which is like ministers, which is also unfortunate. How can you, as a Senate of the Federal Republic, anywhere in the world, screen people without portfolio? And I'll give you an interesting incident that happened on the 1st of August when the minister appeared. First, he didn't speak to anything regarding qualification or training, spoke to his industrialist status, investment across the country as an entrepreneur. Only 7 people spoke on that day out of 109. To the asking him questions. Supposedly to ask him questions. 6 out of these 7 were commendations and praises from largely opposition senators, who who were meant to study the document and scrutinize them. In Order 120A, all ministers are supposed to have their asset declaration form submitted to NAS. In Order 119, the president is supposed to issue certificate listing those people. Order 120B requires them to have a certificate of fingerprint clearance from police this thing. In Order 124A and B, the Senate is to authenticate all credentials that has been submitted by every ministerial nominee. The clerk is also within that provision. From Order 117 to 129, about 13 orders prescribe procedure, including division of time to ask questions for the ministers, including agreement to hold open session. So all these things is not what we see when people appear. Even so, if you have only the president of the Senate asked the minister a question the day he came.
Okay, so the process already seems flawed. But when people then present certificates that do not qualify them to serve, what is the wider implication for governance?
This is a very big issue. It shows that we are not serious. It shows that, see, I told you, on the 1st of August, 7 people spoke. About 5, Senator Goja, I think is of APC. The other people were all opposition members and mostly from the Southeast. They all commended the nominee. These, at the time they are supposed to be doing adequate scrutiny. Let me even tell you, Order 124A required the president to submit details of the responsibilities of the nominee, details of the search process that led to nominating him, his resume, and other documents.
Are those usually submitted?
These are the issues. In most cases, you see only CV and profile. And because of politics, and this is the message to opposition, because if the president makes nominations in Nigeria, you will expect maybe APC members to be supporting the nomination and what have you. Okay. But opposition are supposed to do in-depth research, you know, and come out with facts. And Senate too need to adjust the process so that people can have time to ask questions and get feedback. They can't politicize everything. When you politicize the process and just say bow and go, then you get the kind of result that we are getting today, which is, you know, globally embarrassing.
As I let you go, who should take institutional responsibility? Is it solely the Senate, the president that does the nomination, or the security forces that do the security screening, or the institution he graduated from, your alma mater? At
all levels. You see, the Senate itself, Order 124B, says that he should authenticate everything that has been submitted. Okay. So, and again, after elections, just before nominations are made, Senate supposed to administratively issue a template to the secretary to the federal government and even the presidency, saying these are the things we require for the people coming for nomination. There should be division of time.
All right.
And people who need to ask questions should indicate, and they should be allowed to get feedback when they ask questions. If we don't fix the process, then we'll continue to get this kind of embarrassment, and it's not right. Yeah.
Very well said. Chibuzor Okereke, legislative governance expert and policy analyst, for being on the news tonight. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.